if we briefly put aside the argument, just for 5 minutes, about the self-certification schemes and the value that they bring to the industry and what they're doing for the industry. Most of us are part of a scheme. I only ever use it to self-certify certificates in dwellings. I never use the technical helpline because I'm not an idiot. I just use the regs book. If we put aside that argument anyway about their value and what they do, most of us are part of one. Every year we have to have an assessment. This year, today, I've got my NAPIT assessment, and it's fairly straightforward. There's nothing to be worried about. If you know your onions, if you know your minerals, it's no bother. It's just a very relaxed chat. Look through some of your documents, make sure they're all up together, and go through some testing. I have seen some cringy videos of people showing you how to prepare for an assessment, and it's so unnecessary. You can go on the scheme's website, and they normally have bullet points, and they tell you what they require on the day of the assessment, what you need to provide. And for most of us, including myself, it'll be like indemnity insurance, liability insurance, calibration certificate, make sure you've got your proving unit. And if you're like me, you probably panic checked the night before, trying to find your regs book, trying to find the on-site guide, trying to find your proving unit, trying to find all these documents. But yeah, if you're a bigger firm, you might need more documents, if you employ more than 5 people. But for most of us, that's all you pretty much need. And then you go around, show them a couple of jobs, show them the associated certification, maybe go through some testing, ask a few questions. I see it as a nice chill day, a break from the graft, well, graft. I'm going to show them the job I did a couple of months ago, that big panel board. And then on the way home, I got to do a quick cooker swap. Someone rang to say their cooker's gone bang, and they bought 2 new ovens. So I've got a dual outlet plate and reduced the MCB to a 20 amp. I know there's an argument. Some people say it's a fixed load, don't need to swap it. However, I like to. So yeah, I'll see you in a few hours' time. So I've been called out to tripping. Look at that. At a premises, the RCD keeps tripping, and when they're plugging in the urns, and that is why the leakage is mad. I'm going to pat test the urns. You can see that just as the elements kick in and kick out, the leakage fluctuates, but all on one RCD. When I turn them off, that one there I think it is, yeah. When I turn both the urns off, to be expected. You'll never get no leakage, so that's what I'd expect. You get that with LED lights, there's the boiler plugged in, there's fridge, stuff like that, so that's what I would normally expect. But plugging the urns in sends it right up, and it's been tripping the RCD. I've tested the RCD, the BG RCD. I've done a ramp test, an RCD test. I think it ramped out at 19 milliamps, and I did, the RCD was 20 something on ×1 and 19 something at ×5, so I'm happy that the RCD is operational. I've suggested to them to do either split the urns across the 2 RCDs. I mean, you got to work with what you got, or put in a dedicated circuit for the urn, one of the urns, but they've got no spare ways. Recommend to change the consumer unit to RCBOs, so they don't have an RCD tripping out the whole half of this establishment when it does happen. So I've proposed a few ideas to get around it, but I'll also pat test the bearings while I'm here just to check. I know it's a job that we all hate doing, portable appliance testing. But if you're gonna do it properly. You spend all this money on gear and software, you might as well do it properly. I don't tend to do much of it because I'm normally more expensive than the regular monkeys that you get doing, 10p an item. However, I've been asked to do the portable appliance testing at this establishment, and I've found the last time it was done is back in 2016, so it's well overdue. I found a couple of things now, mainly visual inspection is where I catch, or where I find most of the issues. There's a couple of installation resistance faults on the urns that they've got, but for example, this one, outer sheath damage exposing the inner cores. It's unsatisfactory. It will go down as a failure, and normally I inform the client and recommend removal from service immediately. I have heard some people just chop the plugs off straight away and go, "Oh, it's dangerous, you can't use it. It's not my gear, it's not my stuff." And normally I do say that to people. I say, "Oh, would you like me to cut the plug off, stop people using it?" And they say, "Oh yeah, that'd be great." But I don't just go ahead and chop it and say, "Oh, you can't use that, it's unsafe." It's all detailed on my certificate, the failure and the reason for the failure and the recommended action to be taken. And then I'll say, "Oh, do you want me to chop it off?" Some people say no. These guys here, they want to leave it all on so they can, or the maintenance guy wants to leave it on to show and tell the client. But yeah, whilst it's not my favourite job to do, it's still a job. It has to be done, and you should do it right. Checking the fuse types and the sizes, getting it all done on the certificate. I like Electroform. I use Electroform. It's very user-friendly and end-user-friendly, to be honest, as well, when I do portable appliance testing. Yeah. So I'm initially here to do a call out for RCD tripping, which I've solved. It was the urns causing the issue, in particular that urn, which I've now pat tested, proved that its initial resistance is extremely low, way past permitted values, and so they've asked for all the rest of stuff to be pat tested, which I'm happy to oblige to do. I've got some time. I had a big job cancel on me, so I've got some time. And whilst I'm here, I've also noticed that they've got no certification, no idea when this was done. And so they'd like me to do an EICR. Now, I'm not going to do that today, but I'll book it in. Because they're not aware that it's ever been tested. They don't know when that went in. So they're going to get the EICR booked in. I'm going to do the pat testing today. Yeah, I've already seen a few issues, but I'll make some notes and we'll book that in. Right, I couldn't actually film much of that call out. The lady, she's 95, she lives on her own. She has carers that come in once a day or whatever, and it was my neighbour's mum. They rang to say the lights have all blown and my mum's got no lights upstairs. And so the moment I walked in, I could tell it was going to be an old consumer unit. There was Bakelite switches, there was VIR cabling I could see, there was no earth in the lighting circuit. I could tell instantly. Like, you can just tell by looking at the accessories of a place. It was really old. Luckily, it's turned out to be a fairly straightforward fix. Now, yeah, I could rattle off to her and say, "Oh, you haven't got an RCD, or you haven't got bonding, or you haven't got this, you haven't got that." But the 95-year-old lady hasn't got lights. So, luckily, it's just around the corner from me. So, that's my good deed. I'm not even going to charge her. It was just the rocker switch in her bedroom had gone faulty, the mechanical switch of it. I'll show you a video. And the flex on the pendant had obviously span around. I don't know how they've done it, but I don't know. They've obviously spanned the pendant, or someone spun it around so much so that it's rubbed the inner cores together, damaged them, and caused it to just go bang, like live and neutral dead short. and because the rocker switch was also faulty, them two together caused it to go bang. And obviously they went through all their fuse wire trying to find it last night, and so I've got some spare fuse wire, but I've also found a couple of those plug-in Wilex MCBs, so I'll swap that in, make it a little bit better if there's any more issues. That'll be the problem. They had a light switch in the bedroom, which the rocker was broken. The mechanical switch, the mechanical side of it had obviously rocked into like the kind of on position, and they couldn't turn it off. And the pendant was like this. I think it had been swinging around and spun around quite a few times over the years, and that is what caused the fuse to repeatedly trip. Fairly straightforward find, to be honest. Still works as a 2-gang Wago. Essential bit of kit for cookers and ovens, that. Got blue plugs ready. Yeah. Isolated dual outlet plate. 2 new ovens. All this for just 2 ovens. So as standard, H05, this is H05 heat resistive flex, 3-core, 2.5mm. It's going to be a 20 amp. It's a 20 amp circuit. I'm going to reduce it. It's on a 40 at the moment. The 6mm was on a 40, so I'm going to reduce it down to a 20 with my diversity. It's 2 3-kilowatt ovens, so 20 amps should be sufficient. And where possible, if I've got room in the housing, I'll use ring crimps. They're a lot better. So I'll put ring crimps. Sometimes on ovens and hobs they haven't got this kind of space where you can dress the cables, so ferrules is what I'll use. So I've used ferrules in the dual outlet plate, appropriate connections, appropriate cable, and here I'll use ring crimps. Yeah, let's get this connected up. Oven number 1 down. One more to do. Then swap the MCB out.
I posted on my story last night when I went to change a cooker, they had a Wilex consumer unit with the NSB range MCBs inside. Now I know that there was, between 2009 and 2010, MCBs that were manufactured in that period required recalling because there was a major recall. but I couldn't remember how you could tell if it was manufactured within that period. And I had loads of messages of people saying, oh, the NSB range, yeah, it needs recalling. Yeah, contact Electrium, get it replaced. But I know it's not the case. I know it's a certain time period where they were manufactured, and those were the ones that needed recalling. Anyway, only a couple of people pulled through and sent me this. There's a 6-digit code on the side of the MCB, and the last 4 digits apply that you need to look at are the important digits. If it's any one of those digits there, then they need to be recalled. They're the recalled ones. So yeah, I'll find the picture of the one that I pulled out the consumer unit. So I was only there to change the cooker protector device from a 40 down to a 20, but I noticed it was the NSB range, and I noticed there was a couple of 6s and a 16, and there was this spare 6 that was on top of the consumer unit. And I couldn't remember for the life of me how you could tell if it was one of the manufactured or one of the recalled MCBs manufactured between 2009 and 2010. I knew it was the NSB range. I couldn't remember how you found out if it was part of the recall. Anyway, a couple of people pulled through, like I mentioned, and that 6-digit code at the top of the MCB, the last 4 digits are key. If you look at the codes on that previous story, if the MCB has any of those 4 digits at the end of the 6-digit code, then they're part of the recalled YLEX MCBs. This one, luckily, isn't. RERG isn't. So, no issues, no worries. But that's how you know. I'll try and find it and screenshot it and post it or something like that.